If I told you the same people who left me alone in a hospital bed, broken, bleeding, and barely able to move, would one day show up at my door smiling, pretending nothing ever happened, you probably wouldn't believe me. But what if I told you they didn't come back because they loved me? They came back because they thought I was about to die, and they wanted what I had. And the moment they realized I wasn't the helpless person they abandoned, everything changed. It all started the night my life split into two parts, before the accident and after it. I still remember the sound. Tires screeching, glass shattering, and then silence. The kind of silence that feels heavy, like it's pressing down on your chest. When I woke up in the hospital, I couldn't feel my legs properly. My body felt like it didn't belong to me anymore. Tubes everywhere, machines beeping. And the worst part? I was alone. No familiar faces, no worried voices. Just a nurse who looked at me with pity when I asked, "Did my family come?" She hesitated, and that hesitation told me everything. "They were here earlier," she said carefully. "But they left. Left. At first, I tried to make excuses for them. Maybe they were in shock. Maybe they needed time. Maybe they'd come back tomorrow. Tomorrow came. Then the next day. Then the next week. No one showed up. No calls. No messages. Nothing. It wasn't until a social worker came to talk to me that I found out the truth. My family didn't just leave because they were overwhelmed. They left because the doctors weren't sure if I'd fully recover, and they didn't want to deal with the burden. The word burden stuck in my head like a knife. That was me to them. Not a son, not a brother, a burden. The hospital discharged me sooner than I was ready because there was no one willing to take responsibility for me. No one to sign the papers, no one to bring me home. Except there was one person, my grandfather. We hadn't been that close growing up, but when he heard what happened, he didn't hesitate. He showed up, signed everything, and took me home with him. And when I say home, I mean his quiet old house at the edge of town. The kind of place my family used to joke about, calling it worthless land and a waste of time. Funny how perspectives change later. Those first few months were the hardest of my life. Pain every day. Physical therapy that made me feel like I was starting from zero. Learning how to walk again, how to live again, and through all of it, my grandfather was there. Not once did he complain. Not once did he make me feel like a burden. Instead, he'd sit beside me and say things like, "You're stronger than you think. Don't let anyone convince you otherwise." And slowly, piece by piece, I started to believe him. What I didn't know at the time was that while I was rebuilding my life, my family was completely erasing me from theirs. They told people I had moved away. Some even said I didn't survive. It was easier for them to pretend I didn't exist than to admit they abandoned me. Years passed. I got stronger, not just physically, but mentally. I finished my recovery, found remote work, built something for myself from scratch. No help, no support, just me, and the one person who never gave up on me, my grandfather. And then, one day, everything changed again. He got sick. It happened fast. One minute, he was sitting on the porch giving me advice, and the next, he was in a hospital bed, just like I once was. But unlike my family, I didn't leave. I stayed. Every day, every night. I was there. Because that's what family is supposed to do. Before he passed, he held my hand and said something I'll never forget. "I know who showed up and who didn't." At the time, I didn't fully understand what he meant, until the reading of the will. That was the first time I saw my family in years, and let me tell you, they didn't come in mourning. They came dressed like it was a business meeting. Smiles, fake concern. Eyes scanning the room, calculating, and when they saw me walk in, alive, standing, and stronger than ever, the shock on their faces was priceless. For a moment, no one spoke. Then suddenly, it was like a switch flipped. They rushed toward me. "Where have you been? We were so worried. We tried to find you." Lies. Every single word. A lie. But I didn't say anything. I just watched them. The same way they once watched me. Like I was nothing. Then the lawyer began reading the will. And that's when everything fell apart for them. Because my grandfather didn't just leave me something small. He left me everything. The house. The land. His savings. His investments. Everything. You could hear the room shift. The air changed. Suddenly, those fake smiles disappeared. "What? That can't be right. There must be a mistake. He wouldn't do that." But he did, because he saw the truth. He saw who stayed and who walked away, and that's when their real reason for coming back became crystal clear. It wasn't about love. It wasn't about regret. It was about money. After the reading, they tried everything. Guilt, manipulation, even anger. "You owe us," one of them said. "We're still your family," another added. Family. That word again. Funny how they only remembered it when there was something to gain. They started showing up at the house, calling nonstop, sending messages like nothing ever happened, acting like we could just rewind time and pretend they didn't abandon me when I needed them the most. But here's the thing they didn't understand. I wasn't that same person anymore. I wasn't the one lying in a hospital bed waiting for someone to care. I had already learned how to survive without them. And more importantly, I learned my worth. So one evening, when they all showed up uninvited, standing in the living room that used to belong to my grandfather, demanding their share, I finally spoke, calm, clear, no anger, no hesitation. "You didn't lose me," I said. "You gave me away." Silence. "You made your choice the day you walked out of that hospital, and now I'm making mine." I told them to leave, not just the house, but my life. And for the first time, they realized they had no control, no leverage, nothing, because everything they thought they could take from me was never theirs to begin with. They left angry, threatening legal action, claiming it wasn't fair. But deep down, they knew the truth. Fairness ended the day they abandoned me. It's been years since that moment. They tried to fight it at first, but eventually they disappeared again. And this time, I didn't wait for them to come back. I moved forward. I turned that worthless land into something meaningful, built a life my grandfather would be proud of. And every now and then, I think about that hospital room, that version of me, alone, broken, and waiting for people who never came. If I could go back and tell that version one thing, it would be this: the people who leave you at your lowest don't deserve to stand beside you at your highest. And sometimes, the greatest revenge isn't getting even. It's becoming someone they can never reach again. Because in the end, they didn't just lose the inheritance. They lost me.